Welcome to this lecture on work, energy and power. We continue with the process of collision. We have taken up collision in one dimension of elastic type, which we also call as head-on collision. We have derived two relations. दो रिलेशन हमने derive किए कि अगर हमारे पास एक मास m1 हो जो इनिशियली वेलोसिटी m1 से मूव करता है, ये कोलाइड करता है विद मास m2 जो इनिशियली एक वेलोसिटी u2 से मूव कर रहा था। कोलिजन होने के बाद जो m1 की वेलोसिटी है वो बन जाती है v1 और जो m2 की वेलोसिटी है वो बन जाती है v2। और दो प्रिंसिपल्स, वन इज लॉ ऑफ कंजर्वेशन ऑफ लीनियर मोमेंटम एंड सेकंड इज लॉ ऑफ कंजर्वेशन ऑफ काइनेटिक एनर्जी। उनकी बेसिस पर हमने दो रिलेशंस लिखी या डिराइव की। पहला रिलेशन, व्हाट इज द वेलोसिटी ऑफ फर्स्ट बॉडी आफ्टर द कोलिजन। सो v1 इज velocity of first body after the collision, which comes out to be m1 minus m2 divided by m1 plus m2 into u1 plus twice m2 divided by m1 plus m2 into u2। तो ये u1 और u2 इनिशियल वेलोसिटीज है जो m1 और m2 हैं। दे आर द टू मासेस ऑफ द टू बॉडीज। यहां v2 जो है विच विल दी वेलोसिटी ऑफ द सेकंड बॉडी आफ्टर कोलिजन, वो हमने डिराइव किया। इट इज ट्वाइस m1 डिवाइडेड बाय m1 प्लस m2 इनटू u1 प्लस, सो दिस विल बी m2 माइनस m1 डिवाइडेड बाय m1 plus m2 into u2. So that way this will be the two velocities after the collision, and we have to find out now कि अगर m1 और m2 आपस में एक वेरिएशन दिखाएं, नॉट नेसेसरी हमेशा कि m1 और m2 दो इक्वल मासेस होंगे। अगर ये वेरिएशन दिखाएं, जैसे सपोज m1 इज इक्वल टू m2, m1 is less than m2 and m1 is greater than m2, what would happen? हमने कई सारी ऐसी प्रोसेसेस डे टू डे लाइफ में देखी हैं जहां पर या तो एक हेवी ऑब्जेक्ट लाइट ऑब्जेक्ट को हिट करता है, या एक लाइट ऑब्जेक्ट हेवी ऑब्जेक्ट के साथ हिट करता है, या दो इक्वल मासेस आपस में हिट करते हैं। एक टिपिकल एग्जांपल जहां पर आपने दो इक्वल मासेस को हिट करते हुए देखा कुड बी कि इन द गेम ऑफ बिलियर्ड्स, अगर ये एक बॉल है, इसका मास और दूसरी बॉल इसका मास, अगर हम लें मास दोनों का इक्वल है, मे बी ये बॉल्स कलर में डिफरेंट होती हैं, मास दोनों का इक्वल है। सो व्हाट वुड बी द प्लाइट ऑफ ए कोलिजन, जहां पर एक बॉल दूसरे इक्वल मास के बॉल के साथ वन डायमेंशनल वे में कोलाइड करे। वन डायमेंशनल, यू अंडरस्टैंड, इज कि द बॉल शुड मूव आफ्टर द कोलिजन अलोंग द सेम स्ट्रेट लाइन। So let's go for the case 1 of these two equations. Case 1 is let m1 be equal to m2. That means an elastic collision of one dimensional type between two masses where both masses are equal, or I set this equal to m. So let's see what will be the value of v1. v1 will be equal to, ये m हो जाएगा, ये m हो जाएगा, so it will be m minus m divided by 2m, because m1 and m2 are both equal to m, so this will be 0 divided by 2m into u1 plus, so m2 is equal to m2 is equal to m, so this will be twice m divided by m1 is equal to m2 is equal to m, that is 2m into u2. So what this result yields? This result yields that v1, that is the velocity of ball 1 after the collision with ball 2, ये 0 हो जाएगा ये टर्म, तो ये 2m और 2m कैंसिल आउट हो जाएगा। So you are getting the result that v1 is equal to u2. So practically इसका मतलब ये है कि the velocity with which the first ball will move was the same velocity which was possessed before the collision by the second ball. So you can see a kind of interchange कि final velocity of the first ball is equal to initial velocity of the second ball. What happens to V2 now? So V2 is equal to V2. यहां पर आप फिर देखें, this will be twice m divided by twice m into u1 plus, देखिए m2 is equal to m1 is equal to m minus m will be 0, तो ये term 0 हो जाएगी. So what finally we get out of this? We get 2m and 2m gets cancelled, so we get V2 is equal to u1. तो इन दो रिजल्ट्स को आप देख ले कि what is happening here is कि there is a interchange of velocity. The initial velocity of ball first becomes the final velocity of ball second, and the initial velocity of ball second becomes the final velocity of ball first. तो as an example, अगर मैं एक illustration लेता हूं, ये एक बॉल है which was traveling with a speed of 5 meter per second, and it was the ball A which was moving with the velocity of say 10 meter per second. I am trying to draw the two balls almost equal in size. तो ये आप याद रखें, इन दोनों का जो मास है वो इक्वल है. This is m, this is traveling initially with 10 meter per second. तो ये बॉल A है और ये बॉल B है. Once the collision takes place, what will be the outcome of that collision? The outcome of that collision will be कि जो बॉल B है which was traveling earlier with a velocity of 5 meter per second will accept this as its final velocity. तो ये इसका 10 meter per second final velocity हो जाएगा, और जो बॉल A था जो मूव करता था with a velocity of 10 meter per second, it will acquire a velocity of 5 meter per second. So this is an interchange of the velocities. That way, in a perfectly elastic collision of one-dimensional type between two equal masses, the velocities are interchanged. The initial velocity of the first ball becomes the final velocity of the second ball, and the final velocity of the second ball becomes equal to initial velocity of the first ball. The final velocity of the first ball becomes equal to initial velocity of second ball. Now, if one of these balls was at rest, what would be the result? वो भी interesting है कि if the collision takes place now like this, कि ये एक ball है, it is of mass m, it is hit by a ball of equal mass which is again of mass m. It comes, जो इसकी initial velocity है u1, that is equal to 0 meter per second. That means this ball was at rest, and suppose this came with 10 meter per second. As per this relation, जो final velocity first ball का होगा, that will be equal to the initial velocity of the second ball. That means जो ये ball है, the ball A, it will come to rest at this position. ये rest में आ जाएगा. It will interchange velocity with the second ball. तो जो इसकी initial velocity है, ये u2 होगा because I am taking the second ball. तो जो इसका v1 है, that v1 will be equal to u2. That way v1 is equal to u2. The velocity will be interchanged. ये 10 मीटर पर सेकंड से आगे बढ़ना शुरू हो जाएगा. ये वाला बॉल B, और जो बॉल A है, बॉल A का जो फाइनल वेलोसिटी है, that will be 0. तो this ball will acquire, जो सेकंड बॉल है, it will acquire a velocity of 10 meter per second, that is v2 is equal to u1, और जो first ball है, it will come to rest. Or on the table of the game of billiards, this observation is very simple and common. If you have played with the game of marbles, glass balls, तो आप देखें कि अगर एक मार्बल रेस्ट पर था, पीछे से एक मार्बल आया, उसको हिट किया, जो आने वाला था वो तो रुक गया, लेकिन जो रेस्ट पर था वो आगे चल पड़ा. Provided the motion is in one dimension, they are moving along the same straight line. So this was about the first case where masses are equal. अब इसकी एक बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट एप्लीकेशन है. इवन एटॉमिक वर्ल्ड में हम अप्रोक्सीमेट करते हैं कि जितने भी कोलिजन्स हों, दे आर नियरली परफेक्टली इलास्टिक. So if you see, in case of a nuclear reactor, it is sometimes possible कि न्यूट्रॉन और प्रोटॉन तकरीबन एक मास के होते हैं. They have nearly 1.672 into 10 raised power minus 27 kg and 1.675 into 10 raised power minus 27 kg. इस मास की जो इक्वेशन है, इक्वालिटी है, उसको हम यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं. That if I want that a beam of neutrons should be brought to rest it is possible कि we spread into that medium a good number of protons so that जो प्रोटोन इनिशियली रेस्ट में था, न्यूट्रॉन आया, प्रोटोन को मोशन में डाल दिया और खुद आके रुक गया, provided the collision is one dimensional. There the things happen on probability basis. तो क्या एक collision one dimensional है कि नहीं? It is a probability there, but if it is one dimensional, this phenomenon will definitely show up, and we utilize it in the process of slowing down or arresting the neutrons sometimes in a nuclear reactor. So we are utilizing that collision is very effective. The two masses are equal and the masses will interchange their velocities. Now we come to second case. In the second case, let's assume कि जो ये दो masses हैं, they are not now equal to each other, they are different from each other. और imagine कि मेरे पास ये situation है that this mass m1 is very very large as compared to m2. What will happen is कि अगर m1 बहुत ही बड़ा है as compared to m2, wherever I have m2, I can ignore it in front of m1 क्योंकि m1 उससे बहुत बड़ा है. Like if I say 1000 kg is m1 and 5 kg is m2, तो जो 5 kg है उसको मैं ignore कर सकता हूं in the process of adding it to 1000 kg. So let's see what will be the outcome of this. V2 will be now equal to, देखिए यहां पर जो m1 है it is much greater than m2, तो मैं इसको ऐसे लिखता हूं twice m1 divided by m1, assuming कि m2 is negligible, इसको मैंने neglect कर दिया, into u1 plus यहां देखें this will be m2 which is very very small minus m1, तो इसको मैं minus m1 लिख देता हूं because I assume that m2 is nearly equal to 0 in front of m1 divided by, ये देखें कि यहां पर जो m1 है since it is much greater than m2, so this will be m1, m2 को मैं ignore कर रहा हूं in front of m1 into u2. What will be the result here? The result is कि v2 will be equal to, so we have v2 will be equal to, अब आप देखें कि twice m1 और m1 here gets cancelled, so this will be equal to twice u1 या m1 और m1 cancel out हो जाते हैं minus u2. This is the velocity of second ball. Second ball is m2 when it is hit by the first ball. So its velocity will be twice the velocity of first ball. जो बॉल आ रहा है इसको हिट करने के लिए माइनस जो इसकी अपनी इनिशियल वेलोसिटी थी. So अगर यहां हम देखें कि if we see that u2 is equal to 0, that means a very huge stone comes and hits a very light stone. एक छोटे पत्थर या एक छोटे से बॉल को एक बहुत ही बड़ा ऑब्जेक्ट आता है और उसको हिट करता है. So you can set u2 equal to 0. जो सेकंड स्टोन जो छोटा पत्थर है उसकी जो फाइनल वेलोसिटी होगी that will be twice of the initial velocity of the first one. Second way we have the velocity of v1 now. So v1 हम यहां से ले लेते हैं. Now I say m1 minus m2. Since m1 is much greater than m2, I write it nearly equal to m1. Now this is m1 plus m2. I again write this as m1 because assuming that m1 is very large as compared to m2 multiplied by u1 plus twice. अब आप देखें जो m2 की वैल्यू है since it is nearly very very small as compared to m1, so मैं इस m2 को जीरो मान के almost zero मान के what I do is I take this term, जो ये term है this I almost make zero because m2 is very very small और denominator में m1 है, so a very small fraction, so I take it as 0 multiplied by u2, which leads to the result that v1 becomes equal to, ये m1 और m1 आपस में cancel हो जाते हैं, so v1 becomes equal to u1. This is again indicative कि जो final velocity heavy mass का है, जो mass चल रहा है, so if it's the situation like this, ये हमारे पास एक बहुत ही छोटा मास है which I call as m2, ये एक बहुत बड़ा मास है which I call as m1 की जो इनिशियल वेलोसिटी है u1, इसकी इनिशियल वेलोसिटी थी u2. So what we see after the collision जो v1 की वैल्यू है that v1 is equal to u1 means there is not much change in the initial velocity of the heavy mass. जो heavy mass है it continues to move with the same velocity which it had before the collision, whereas जो second वाला है this smaller mass जो इसकी final velocity है it is equal to twice u1 minus u2. तो इस प्रोसेस को आप अप्रिशिएट कर सकते हैं इन द रियल वर्ल्ड व्हेन यू सी दैट इफ देयर इज अ साइक्लिस्ट गोइंग और ए बाइकर गोइंग, ए ट्रक कम्स फ्रॉम बीनीथ एंड हिट्स इट, तो आप देखेंगे कि द ट्रक में कंटिन्यू टू मूव विद द सेम वेलोसिटी एज इट वाज, मगर जो बाइकर है इट मे बी थ्रोन ऑफ विद अ वेरी हाई वेलोसिटी अवे फ्रॉम दैट पॉइंट ऑफ collision. In this sense, we have the second case. Now we come to the third case. Third case would be, as we have taken that m1 is much greater than m2. Now let it be like this, that a very light mass, that is m1, which is very very small, is hitting upon a very large mass. Say m2 is very very large as compared to m1. So I can draw a sketch like this. ये एक मास है which is m1 moving with an initial velocity u1 hits upon a very huge mass, say m2, which was initially moving with a velocity u2. What would be the outcome of this? So again we calculate v2. v2 is कि जो ये वाला मास है फाइनल, उसका क्या वेलोसिटी होगा आफ्टर द कोलिजन. सो v2 would be equal to, अब जो m2 है this is the dominant, m1 is nearly 0 in front of m2. तो ये रेशियो आप देखें here m1 which is very very small as compared to m2, इसको मैं nearly 0 ले लेता हूं into u1 plus, यहां देखें since m1 is very very small in front of m2, so I can write it as m2 divided by, अब देखिए m1 को मैं इग्नोर कर रहा हूं in place of m2, so this is into u2. What we get out of it? We get v2 equal to, तो ये 0 हो जाएगा and this will be equal to u2. तो एक्सपेक्टेड रिजल्ट कि जो हमारे पास फाइनल वेलोसिटी है इस हेवी मास की, दिस फाइनल वेलोसिटी कंटिन्यूज टू बी सेम एज इट्स इनिशियल वेलोसिटी. दैट मींस इट इज नॉट इन्फ्लुएंस्ड मच बाय द प्रोसेस ऑफ कोलिजन विद द स्मॉलर मास. कमिंग टू द फाइंडिंग ऑफ v1, अब v1 आप यहां से लें, सिंस m1 इज वेरी वेरी स्मॉल एज कंपेयर टू m2, देखें दिस विल बी माइनस m2, m1 को मैं इग्नोर कर रहा हूं, डिवाइडेड बाय m1 को मैं इग्नोर कर रहा हूं, डिवाइडेड बाय m2 इंटू u1 प्लस ट्वाइस, ये देखें दिस इज m2 डिवाइडेड बाय m1 प्लस m1 इज वेरी वेरी स्मॉल एज कंपेयर टू m2, सो इट इज ट्वाइस m2 divided by m2 into u2. This gives you, यहां से ये हो जाएगा minus u1, so v1 becomes equal to minus u1 and जो ये m2 और m2 है they will get cancelled out, so this will be plus twice u2. So this result now shows कि जो heavier mass है it does not change its velocity much, its final velocity is nearly equal to the initial velocity. लेकिन जो lighter mass है this mass it has almost, कि अगर हम एक और इसमें स्टेप लेते हैं कि let u2 is equal to 0, जैसे अगर एक ऑब्जेक्ट हेवी है, रेस्ट में है और उसको एक लाइट ऑब्जेक्ट ने हिट किया, बाय पुटिंग u2 इक्वल टू 0 व्हाट यू गेट इज यू गेट v1 इक्वल टू माइनस u1. Now remember, having seen this process in a game called the game of squash, आपके पास एक बॉल है, एक इरेक्टेड वॉल है, उस वॉल का मास काफी ज्यादा है बॉल के मुकाबले में. जब बॉल जाता है उस वॉल को हिट करता है, बाउंस बैक करता है. दैट वे व्हेन आई सेट दैट u2 is equal to 0, the heavy mass is at rest, then what I see that the final velocity of the lighter mass will be equal to its initial velocity, but the direction is reversed. जो ये माइनस साइन है ये दिखाता है कि उसकी डायरेक्शन रिवर्स होगी. तो बॉल यहां से गया, बाउंस ऑफ करके उसी वेलोसिटी से वापस आया जिस वेलोसिटी से गया था, so it comes back. This is almost the dynamics of an alpha particle if it is sent towards a nucleus. क्योंकि वहां पर एक और इशू है, the issue of the interaction, that is electrostatic interaction. लेकिन अगर एक न्यूट्रल पार्टिकल हमने इन द ऑफ द साइज ऑफ ए न्यूक्लियस और उस पर एक अल्फा पार्टिकल को बम्बार्ड करें, पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ दिस टाइप ऑफ कोलिजन विल बी देयर, दैट अल्फा पार्टिकल विल बाउंस ऑफ द न्यूक्लियस सरफेस बिकॉज ऑफ द डिफरेंस ऑफ मास. वहां पर अगर हम थोड़ी देर के लिए इलेक्ट्रोस्टैटिक फोर्स को अगर इग्नोर भी करें, इट वुड बी एन आउटकम ऑफ द कोलिजन, कि कोलिजन विल बी इलास्टिक, one dimensional, the body will bounce off. So if you have the understanding of some property of the nuclei, जिसको हम रदरफोर्ड स्कैटरिंग एक्सपेरिमेंट, अल्फा पार्टिकल स्कैटरिंग एक्सपेरिमेंट कहते हैं। रदरफोर्ड अल्फा पार्टिकल स्कैटरिंग में देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि अगर एक न्यूक्लियस के नजदीक एक अल्फा पार्टिकल डायरेक्टली जाए, not at an angle, so it can bounce off in a one-dimensional collision, it can come back at an angle of 180 degree with respect to its initial motion. So these three cases, they give us a very clear understanding of some of the visuals which we see in the natural phenomena. किस तरह से हम collisions को appreciate करते हैं by taking the difference of masses and difference of velocities. We realize that how the process of collision proceeds अगर masses दो objects के पहले equal हों फिर unequal हों, the light object hits the heavy object or the heavy object hits the light object. These are the cases which we see. So this is about the elastic collision in one dimension. Now sometimes we take up a collision जिसको हम कई बार एक collision तो नहीं कहेंगे, एक एक्सप्लोजिव रिएक्शन या एक एक्सप्लोजन कह सकते हैं। एक्सप्लोजन आमतौर से इसमें हमें ये समझने में कई बार मुश्किल होती है that how is it possible कि मेरे पास एक बॉम्ब था which was initially at rest और abruptly जो उसका काइनेटिक एनर्जी है उसके फ्रेगमेंट्स का that has come into existence after the explosion takes place. In that case, you have to remember that the kinetic energy which came into appearance, which was not there before because the bomb was at rest, it has come at the cost of spending chemical energy. And the chemical energy got transformed into kinetic energy, and that kinetic energy was I can say that the final kinetic energy was greater than the initial kinetic energy. Even if the bomb was moving at some slow speed, the moment it explodes, the explosion is such that the fragments have much higher kinetic energy than before. Where it has come from? It has come from the chemical reaction. So in such a case, even if there is breakdown of law of conservation of kinetic energy, law of conservation of kinetic energy, but there is no violation of law of conservation of energy, because what you lose in chemical energy वो आप gain करते हैं in mechanical energy. Also in such a process, the law of conservation of linear momentum remains true. तो याद रखें कि in an explosive collision there is conservation of law of this law of conservation of linear momentum, or there is conservation of linear momentum, and there is conservation of total energy. Maybe the kinetic energy which appears to have increased is at the cost of chemical energy. We come to now an elastic collision in two dimensions. So we have elastic collision in two dimensions, which we also call as an oblique collision in two dimensions. We also call it as oblique collision. Oblique it is in this sense कि ये मान लें वही situation जैसे हम पहले लेके आए हैं. We have a mass m1, this is a mass m1 moving with an initial velocity u1, and it is moving along this path. Then I have here a mass m2, this is a mass m2. It is moving with an initial velocity of u2. When the two masses collide together, so this is A, this is B, they don't follow this path. ये इस path पर straight नहीं जाते हैं, but they shoot out from this point obliquely. जो ये m1 है, मान लें m1 इधर की तरफ चला गया, so this is m1 with a velocity v1, और जो m2 है वो मान लेते हैं इधर की तरफ चला गया with a velocity v2, so that there is now a two-dimensional motion which has come up from the initial part of collision. So this is m2, this is m1 moving with velocity v1, this is m2 moving with velocity v2. Now in this case what we do is we continue to conserve the linear momentum. अब linear momentum conserve करने के लिए मैं इस line को elongate कर रहा हूँ. Let me call this as x-axis, or let me erect another axis here. I call this one as the y-axis. This is y-axis. So this is x-axis and y-axis. So this is x dash x, x dash, and this is y dash, y dash. जो यहां पर ये एंगल है at which velocity v1 has left, or the velocity v1 is subtending an angle theta 1 with the horizontal direction, और ये जो एंगल है, let this be angle theta 2 which is being subtended by velocity v2 along the with respect to the horizontal direction. I can think of resolving this. ये m1 v1 जो है ये असल में एक लीनियर मोमेंटम है, या जो वेलोसिटी v1 है इसको मैं रिजॉल्व कर सकता हूं into two components. One component will lie along this direction, or you will agree with me that will be v1 cos theta 1, and another component along this direction which will be v1 sin theta 1. Similarly, जो v2 है it will be resolved into two components. This component will be v2 cos theta 2, और जो इस डायरेक्शन में v2 का कंपोनेंट होगा perpendicular to v2 cos theta 2, v2 cos theta 2 along x-axis है, that will be v2 sin theta 2. Now we are dealing with a two-dimensional motion, or you have earlier learned in kinematics that whenever you are dealing with a two-dimensional motion, you can always break it into two one-dimensional motions. तो हम इस मोशन को दो पार्ट्स में डिवाइड करके स्टडी कर सकते हैं. What is the first is कि how the motion is happening along x-axis, and second how the motion is happening along y-axis. When I take the situation along x-axis, I come across these two results. The result is that there was an initial motion of m1 with initial velocity v1 u1. There was a motion of m2 with initial velocity u2, and this is what we call as the linear momentum before the collision in case of these two masses. And let me take up the linear momentum after the collision. So it will be m1 v1 cos theta 1. So this is m1 v1 cos theta 1 plus m2 v2 cos theta 2. So this is how we have dealt with the linear momentum along x-axis. We can also deal with the linear momentum along y-axis. So along y-axis, how it behaves. Along y-axis, what we have the initial momentum along y-axis in this direction, or in this direction nothing. So there is no initial momentum along y-axis क्योंकि सारा motion जो है it is along x-axis only. So I put the initial momentum along y-axis equal to 0. लेकिन finally आप देखेंगे कि there are components of the momentum along the y-axis. So it is m1 v1 sin theta 1. So ये है m1 v1 sin theta 1 in this direction, the component, or there is the value m2 v2 sin theta 2. So इस तरह से आप देखेंगे कि ये जो लीनियर मोमेंटा है, since they are in the opposite directions, ये पॉजिटिव लिया जाएगा, this one I will take positive, लेकिन algebraically जो ये है it will be taken as negative. So you will have to give a consideration to linear momentum which basically is a vector quantity. हमने यहां पर वेक्टर नोटेशन इसलिए ड्रॉप किया है क्योंकि हम एक वन डायमेंशनल केस पर इस मोशन को लेके आए हैं. However, a better treatment in terms of vector algebra would have been कि अगर हम इनको vectors arrow लेके deal करते, so then this would be very simple to understand कि here I could have written something like m1 v1 sin theta 1 I cap plus j cap, m1 v1 sin theta plus j cap. This would be m2 v2 sin theta 2 minus j cap, because the directions are opposite to each other. अब ये दो इक्वेशन जो है, I call this as equation number 1, I call this as equation number 2. They can have another equation along with them, and that equation arises from law of conservation of kinetic energy. What is law of conservation of kinetic energy? The law of conservation of kinetic energy says that in a perfectly elastic collision, the kinetic energy before collision is equal to the kinetic energy after collision. Now, kinetic energy, unlike a momentum or linear momentum is not a vector quantity, it's a scalar quantity. So in whatever direction a body moves, जो उसका 1/2 mv1 स्क्वायर है या 1/2 m2 v2 स्क्वायर है, वो डायरेक्शन डिपेंडेंट क्वांटिटी नहीं है. लाइक वी हैव लीनियर मोमेंटम विच बिकम्स डायरेक्शन डिपेंडेंट. तो अगर मैं ये कहूं कि देयर इज इनिशियल काइनेटिक एनर्जी विच इज 1/2, here we have mass m1 moving with initial velocity u1, so it is 1/2 m1 u1 square plus 1/2 m2 u2 square. This becomes initial kinetic energy of these two bodies. और यहां भी आप देखते हैं इट इज 1/2 m2 v2 u2 square. और जो यहां हमारे पास फाइनल काइनेटिक एनर्जी है दैट इज 1/2 m1. देखिए ये वेलोसिटी अगर एंगल θ1 भी बना रही है डज नॉट मैटर फॉर काइनेटिक एनर्जी. सो दैट वे इट विल बी 1/2 m1 v1 स्क्वायर प्लस 1/2 m2 v2 स्क्वायर. अगर मैं 1/2 को ड्रॉप करता हूं थ्रू आउट, सो व्हाट आई गेट m1 स्क्वायर u1 स्क्वायर m1 u1 square m1 u1 square plus m2 u2 square is equal to m1 v1 square plus m2 v2 square. This becomes equation number 3. अब आप इन तीन इक्वेशंस में देखें कि unlike a one dimensional collision जहां पर हमने कुछ वेरिएबल्स थे, कुछ हमारे पास जैसे v1 और v2 वेरिएबल्स थे, they could be calculated by knowing the initial values of m1, m2, u1 and u2. But here the situation is slightly critical. We have three equations with us, equation 1, equation 2 and equation 3. However, we have four variables. अगर मैं मानता हूं कि m1 is known to me, m1 मुझे मालूम है, m2 मुझे मालूम है, this is the initial mass of the two bodies, u1 I know, u2 I know, but I don't know that what will be the value of θ1, what will be value of v1. तो जो हमारे पास unknowns है which I don't know, so v1 is an unknown, v2 is an unknown, θ1 is an unknown and θ2 is an unknown. Now we'll see that in the list of unknown quantities we have four quantities which are unknown and we have to determine the value of these four quantities by using three equations. Mathematical methods tell us कि अगर आपके पास एक लीनियर इक्वेशन है जिसमें दो वेरिएबल है तो आपको कम से कम दो लीनियर इक्वेशंस की जरूरत है ताकि आप उन दो वेरिएबल्स को निकाल पाए. अगर तीन वेरिएबल्स हैं उनके लिए आपको तीन लीनियर इक्वेशंस की जरूरत पड़ेगी ताकि आप तीनों की वैल्यू को निकाल सकें. और अगर आपके पास चार वेरिएबल हैं यू विल रिक्वायर फोर इक्वेशंस वेयर यू कैन डिटरमाइन देयर वैल्यू. बट वी हैव ओनली थ्री इक्वेशंस 1, 2 and 3, but four variables are there. So this becomes now a critical way that we cannot determine independent values of v1, v2, θ1 and θ2 from these three equations. However, अगर हम अब ये प्रोसेस करना चाहें प्रैक्टिकली हमें क्या करना होगा कि one of these four variables will have to be determined experimentally. जैसे for example, if you could determine the value of θ1 or you could determine the value of θ2, or for that matter you could determine the value of θ1 plus θ2. अगर आप ये वैल्यू एक और इक्वेशन बिल्ड अप कर सकते हैं which has to take the help from experiments of this process या experimental results, then only you can come to find the values of the four variables independent of each other, that is v1, v2, θ1 and θ2. So the crux of this process is कि तीन इक्वेशंस और चार वेरिएबल में हम चार वेरिएबल्स की एक इंडिपेंडेंट वैल्यू तब तक नहीं निकाल सकते जब तक एक और इंडिपेंडेंट इक्वेशन हमारे पास ना हो. उस इंडिपेंडेंट इक्वेशन में या तो आपको v1 की वैल्यू पता हो या आपको v2 की वैल्यू पता हो या आपको θ1 या θ2 या मगर अगर θ1 प्लस θ2 भी हुआ तो ऑब्वियसली अगर θ1 प्लस θ2 है आपके पास कोई वैल्यू, सो यू कैन गेट द रिजल्ट फ्रॉम दैट. We can find the whole process or all the variables involved in the outcome of this process. So this was about the elastic collision in two dimensions. In practice, again we go back to the game of billiards. एक बॉल अगर स्टैटिक है, दूसरा बॉल यहां से आया तो ये रेड बॉल जो है ये रेड एक डायरेक्शन में चला गया, जो ब्लैक बॉल उसको हिट करने आया था वो दूसरी डायरेक्शन में चला गया. It is possible in case of collision where it would have been like this कि अगर आप डायरेक्टली हिट करते हैं ये एक ही लाइन में चले जाते हैं So on the same billiards table you would find a one dimensional collision. लेकिन अगर आपने थोड़ा obliquely hit किया तो ये जो बॉल इधर आ रहा था ये इधर उसको हिट करता है, this goes in this direction, जो हिट करने वाला वो इधर चला गया, it has turned into a two dimensional collision. If we conserve kinetic energy, you will be landing up with these types of equations, and as I said, you will have to determine one of the variables which is unknown to us to determine other values of the process. So in the whole, we have come up with the concept of an elastic collision so far. If the collision has conservation of linear momentum, conservation of total energy, and conservation of kinetic energy, it is elastic. If kinetic energy is not conserved, then it is inelastic. In case of inelastic collision, we have talked about the coefficient of restitution, which comes out as a result of the experiments performed by Newton, which we call as Newton's experiments, and that coefficient of restitution, if its value is equal to 0, makes a collision perfectly inelastic. If it is equal to 1, makes it perfectly elastic, and if it lies between 0 and 1, it is it is simply inelastic but not perfectly inelastic. We have taken up the case of one-dimensional elastic collision and two-dimensional elastic collision in these two lectures, and then we have taken up some of the important cases which we see in the day-to-day life, and we have tried to answer some of the questions related to them. We are left with the process like this कि अगर मैं एक बॉल लूं, उस बॉल को मैंने बाउंस किया एक सरफेस पर, आप देखेंगे कि अगर ये बॉल एक हाइट से जाके गिरा था, इसने एक एनर्जी लूज की mgh, एक सरफेस को हिट किया, जब ये सरफेस से वापस आता है तो ये फुल बाउंस नहीं लेता है, जिस हाइट के बराबर से गिरा था उस हाइट तक ये वापस नहीं जाता है. The reason is कि coefficient of restitution in that case is not equal to 1. अगर coefficient of restitution 1 हो, then the ball will hit the surface and come back to the same height जिस height से ये गिरा था. But in this case it does not happen because it's an inelastic collision. So on that type of situations we can resolve a number of numerical problems which will follow. Thank you.